Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All, the first show of 2025. I've got the Arsenal's most dangerous fan, the Arsenal Jason Bourne, Neil Shah with me tonight, and also the deal or no deal superstar, Brian Haley with me. Just back from Vegas by the looks of things with winnings and everything, getting away from the Arsenal, probably a good thing. We've got guys, appreciate your time, and as always, first show, as I said, of the new year. So happy New Year to you all who are joining us tonight. We've got a lot to get into. So for the first time this year, let's run the intro and let's go. Hello and welcome. Neil, how are you doing? Happy New Year to you, my friend. And how are you feeling after witnessing what you witnessed yesterday?
Happy New Year, guys. Great to see both you and Brian. Yeah, I think I've got to stop going to the Aston Villa live games because I seem to be a curse. So make sure next season, when I say I'm going, Michael, you tell me, sell your ticket. You're not going anymore. Because every time I go, we seem to drop points against them. So not feeling great, but we'll get into it, I guess, to see how they get on.
The Unai Emery effects. Thanks, Neil, for your time as usual. And Brian Haley, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. How you feeling?
Yeah, happy New Year to us all. Yeah, not well. I would say not too bad. But yeah, I think there's kind of a few things to dissect, should we say? But also, I suppose, in some respects, you know what? It's kind of like it's been the norm, should we say, of quite recent times.
Yes. So thanks, guys, for your time. So let's get into it. Arsenal dropping more points in the chase for Liverpool, at the top of the table after the midweek London derby, North London derby win, I should say. We'll kick off with you, Neil. You obviously went to the game yesterday and, obviously would have known of the lineup probably would have dropped, obviously, mostly on people's phones now. But what was your thoughts and, what were the feelings around you when it was revealed again that we went with Partey at right back, and disrupting that midfield three that kind of played pretty well against Tottenham. And for me, it's making two changes when one was really what he should have done, and it seems to always do that with the record of one win in 6 times he's played Partey at right back in the league, and that was against the mighty Southampton at home. What were your thoughts on that lineup, Neil? And obviously, I think you were at the game, so you weren't really sort of on the phone, or, in the WhatsApp group as you normally are, live. But what was your thoughts on that? And was it, were you just thinking that was another, that was an error on his part, on Arteta's part?
With hindsight, it's an error, of course. Now looking back, at the time, I don't like this. I've always been vocal that I don't like Partey playing it right back. I hear counter arguments saying, but he doesn't do too badly. Not doing too badly, but still he's out of position. That's the problem. And also we had Timber, who is in theory out of position as well. Mourinho, I still haven't come really to terms with yet as a player for Arsenal. I don't want to be too harsh on him, because I think I was harsh on Kai Havertz when he first joined, and then I changed my mind after he started putting him some performances in quite good performances in 2024. However, Mourinho at the moment, from what I've seen, he was involved in the goal, and he could have been involved in the one that was disallowed as well. But the point is, I find when I was watching him, I find he takes so long on the ball. He's really slow. In my opinion, maybe others see it differently, but every time I see him get on the ball, I thought he was too slow. And then when you got a team which is struggling with runners, runners that run with the ball, that are not afraid to run at defenders. I mean, the only one that we had really was Nweri, and he's now injured. I thought this was too much disruption for the team. We had just come off, a win against Tottenham. Maybe it wasn't the most satisfying win in terms of, really taking them to the sword, but we got the points. It's still a North London derby win. We got the double, so we were on a high. And I just think he could have done this differently. Maybe I think you might have suggested it, Michael. I'm sorry to steal your thunder, but I think it was you that said it. That maybe he could have pushed Lewis Skelly up to the middle. And he could have even played Tierney in that left back position. I don't actually think Tierney has done very badly in the couple of cameos he's made, and I think that might have been a better thing, because at least then we would have had. We'll talk about Skelly later, but I think he's an amazing player, by the way. But I think there was just too many changes in this lineup. That's how I felt. But to be fair, just to quickly, I won't take much longer now. But I thought, to be fair, we didn't play that bad. I thought we'd improved in a few areas, but again, we'll go into that in more detail. So I was kind of although I thought it was too many changes and passes at right back, but I thought, especially in the first half, I didn't think we gave a bad performance, to be honest with you. So I was a little bit 50-50 with it all, but that's how I saw it.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on that, Brian? Because I thought, as Neil said, I thought in the first half, we kind of controlled it pretty well. If that's Arteta's bag at the moment this season, isn't it? Just controlling games, and I think we did that generally. We did have them on the back foot for the majority, but they did have their moments. They had when Partey threw the ball, had a brain fart and threw the ball through to Watkins, I think it was, or it fell to Watkins, and then he kind of had his effort go away. And there were just a couple of moments where it was just a little bit hairy. But what was your thoughts on just that performance? And do you think as well, looking in hindsight, can you see why he's wanting to do that? Why he wants to keep playing Partey as right back and have that control in midfield and using this inverted midfielder thing still? Or?
Well, I think first and foremost, I don't think he had an awful lot of choice. Even when I messaged you, Mike, I said, I was not necessarily fearing the worst, but I didn't, this was not necessarily the game that we probably needed Thomas Partey at right back at the end of the day, but we didn't also have an awful lot of choice in that matter. I think the key thing we actually probably have to look onto, and we'll probably go into that delve into a bit later, is probably actually the bench in itself. The bench worried me more than actually the first 11 did, because it meant is that we couldn't change things significantly in the game. We had 3 left backs on the bench. You know, we had a veteran central midfielder. We had a forward player, should we say, you know, who's probably coming towards the ending of his better days, should we say, and 3 youngsters. It was never going, you know, that was never going to change a game when we needed the game to be changed. You know, so that was the fear more fear that I had. The Thomas Partey situation, look, we've been there before. You know, he's played in there, and I think this time, you know, Thomas Partey wouldn't have played in there if William Saliba basically had started. It's as simple as that. Our hand was slightly forced anyway. So to me, it was more, you know, as you quite rightly said, the game, you know, we played well in patches and parts and stuff like that. The issues that I kind of find with us at the moment is that, and watching us, it's each week at the moment seems virtually identical. We either start quite quickly for first 5-10 minutes, put people on the back foot, and then we slow the game right down. We allow people to get behind the ball, make it difficult to play through the lines and stuff like that. We don't get frustrated, and then we break, and then it allows other teams to break on us. Because we don't have the penetration in the kind of those final thirds and breaking through the lines, and we're very pedestrian at times and stuff like that. And I think that's where it's the frustrations of watching us at the moment, and on the basis of the back end of, you know, the lineup that we've had. As Neil quite rightly said, the North London Derby game, you know, it was about points at the end of the day. It wasn't necessarily about performance. It was about points. And this game, just as similar, and being 2-0 up, as you know, look, we've been there before, being 2-0 up in games as well when we critically needed it. So
so frustrating me. So we go in 1-0 up, obviously, and second half, you know, again, I think what you're right in terms of the way we play. It's the lack of pace. It's the way, the speed we're moving the ball around. It's just so pedestrian, you know, and I think, you know, you go back a couple of years, even last season, where you're right, we would pretty much put it on the team right from the beginning, and we'll get a goal in the first 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes sort of cut off, and then we'll kind of roll on from there. But I think this season, for whatever reason, the pace of the play has gone down so much. You know, it's not about getting quick players. You know, I'm talking about Martinelli. You know, he's one of the quickest in the league, and we can see, you know, his decision making, which led to their first goal when we had a break, I think, and he gives the ball away when he should have played it on to Trossard, but he didn't. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's just the goes from side to side. We hardly play anything, you know, through the middle anymore. We sort of vacate that middle bit. Everything's down the sides, like down the right hand side. So we're looking for these little scoop passes over the ball. It's just so repetitive. You know, we'll get on to something in a minute, a bit more in depth. But I just want to go through some of this with you guys. Just look at the ratings. Was anyone that stood out there for you, Neil? Because I'm looking at our captain and I'm wondering what's happened to him. Is it because of, is he still carrying an injury? Is he being asked to play through the pain because of a number of things? You know, the squad management and the lack of numbers. Is it because he's missing Bukayo Saka? If he is world class, should he not have to worry about having someone like that along? Should it be taking the team on its back and you know, taking us forward? But what's your thoughts on the lineup and who stood out for you? I mean, my one obviously was Miles. You know, he's got 6.9 on the sofa score rating there. Some of the ratings are a bit scandalous, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how Marino gets 7.6. That's crazy. But yeah, what was your thoughts on Odegaard's performance and how do we get him out of that?
I'll answer the easier part first, and who I thought stood out. For me, Miles has been the outstanding player of the last few games. I think he's been superb. I think he's an unreal talent there was me going on about how Ethan should be playing, and I never once thought about Skelly. And the irony is, when you started the season, you had them both at the end of your credits. At the beginning, was it the beginning or the intro? I can't remember. No, the end credits. You got a picture of them both, and you were so right to put them there because Ethan, unfortunately, as we know, has had the injury. But Skelly, I was always so fixated with Ethan. I never really gave Skelly a thought or think too much about him. And now, ever since I've seen him, I think I said it quite a while ago that I think, even though we got the likes of Calafiore and the others that in that position, he's got to be our number one, and maybe rotate him with Rico. But Rico's just riddled with injuries. I'm starting to question his signing, by the way, because it doesn't make any sense now. Anyway, but that's another discussion. There's so many to have. So he stood out for me. I was another one. The last 3 live games I've gone to, I've really watched him closely, and he's just so good at everything he does. I just think he's a very mature and clever individual, and he's very comfortable within himself. Very comfortable in his own skill set or within his own skill set, and he's just not fearful, and that's the qualities he exudes. And I think he's like Ethan. I think he's another player, and also a young Bukayo Saka, where I think you could put any 3 of them in any position on the pitch, and I think they'd still do well. I think they're that kind of players, and I don't know whether that's the way they've been taught or mentored in the academy, but they're very similar to me in that, and their mindset is just full of confidence. It's incredible, but not arrogance. It's just within their own abilities. Another player that stood out, which I've been worried about this season, is Rice. I thought was having a bit of a better game. I think he has improved in the last few, but Trossard for me, who I've really stuck the knives out for recently, I thought that was one of his best games I've seen in a long time. So those three for me. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I saw that Gabriel was doing in defence, which was equally as good. But I'm not going to give him a shout. It's just a bit unfair because obviously the scoreline was 2-2. But I think for me, if I had 3 to say who stood out, those are my 3 for this match. With Odegaard, I think it's a combination of all the bits that you said earlier, Michael. I think it could be a combination of him missing Saka. I don't think he's ever recovered from his injury fully. He's just not been the same player at all this season. I'm wondering now, could this be a problem with the whole team? We saw 2 seasons where we came so close, 2 seasons running. In theory, we could, be going for a hat-trick of Prems. Can you believe it? So Man City are going for 5, but we could have actually equally been going for a 3 in a row. And I think I'm wondering now, because the players were so young at the time, we were one of the younger squads 2 seasons ago, and even last season, whether they are feeling the effects of those 2 seasons as well. Because I know we've been ravaged with injuries. I know that's not helped our cause this season at all. But even before, right at the start of the season, you were saying it, Michael, that there's just something it's been coming. When we started capitulating, you said it's been coming, and I think it's been the story and the theme of the season throughout. So it's even before some of these injuries that we've sustained. I wonder if there is a general burnout in the team. I don't know, but we're just not ourselves, and Odegaard is one of them. And him being the captain, is it just all got to him a little bit? I don't know, but he's not the player he was in the last 2 seasons, that's for sure. But I can't put an exact reason why. I think it's a combination of all the ones that you said earlier.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit with something that we've got coming up for you. But before I come to you, Brian, I've got a message, couple of chats from Mac, and he says on the break we panic, seeing it close, we lose our shape really quickly. We go towards the ball and don't stay with the opposition, the key attackers. Mac was there yesterday, I believe, as well, Neil. So on our side in attack, we are out of ideas, even from Odegaard. I don't think it is his fault. I just think we don't have a go-to main attacker, which is very unlike the Arsenal way. Well, the main one was Saka, wasn't it? He was the attack. Everything kind of went through him, and we know the reason why. We was saying, why does he keep playing the guy? Why does he give him a rest? And we now know why. He managed to do it when Odegaard was missing, and now shoes on the other foot. We can see clearly that he is the fundamental piece of us, going forward in attack. What's your thoughts, Neil? On just Brian, on Odegaard's fall off and How do we resolve that?
I'm gonna give it a slightly different take, to be honest with you, and I think he's shouldering a lot of responsibility and burden. Where, and particularly because when Bakara's not there as well, because between them they've shared the burden really for us over the last season, two seasons. And the reality is basically, Dawn, is that now when you buy someone like a Declan Rice at 100 and something million, he should be able to take part of that burden off a Martin Odegaard, regardless of the fact that they play different ways. It's about responsibility around the park, and I think at the moment for Odegaard, it just feels like he's got the responsibility and the burden a lot on his shoulders at this moment in time. He's trying to make things happen. He's trying to get the team going and stuff like that, and it's just not happening in that sense. And it's not just him. And it probably shows is that in some respects the squad in itself doesn't have as much creative spark in our midfield areas than we think we have. He is probably the only one in that sense, and that's an issue at the end of the day, and that can't keep going on. We're going, as I said a bit earlier, with regarding to how we look trying to break lines and stuff like that. It cannot always just go through the likes of him, because it just seems like the responsibility is on him. What I did notice a bit yesterday with Declan Rice was he was now prepared to carry the ball. He was prepared to travel, and that's what we need. We have to look at different ways of playing. And he has to then start to drive it from that sort of areas. It doesn't have to be cute like what Martin does and stuff like that. Sometimes we just have to go through the heart, and that's the way we've got to start to look at the different types of balances around that we've got around the park at this moment in time. As in who did well and who, I think, as you quite rightly said, Neil, look, I think the three of them, Trossard, Miles, them two in particularly, and Declan as well. I think he looked at that challenge and thought, look, we've got, someone's going to have to take the game by the scruff of the neck in some respects, and it's probably the first time in some while that I've seen him do that. Trossard, what I loved about Trossard was it's like he knew his role. He was out wide. He was prepared to take people on and get the ball in the box. And if you look at the goals, for argument's sake, if you look at the goals, if you look at Havertz, he had to play as a centre forward. Then we've seen Martinelli come inside as an extra person. That's what you basically do if you've got people out wide. You don't just watch them get the ball across wide and then actually throw the ball in the box and there's no one to hit. You've got to be doing that, and you've got someone to hit, and there was two people filling up. So he did his job, and he did his job correctly.
Yeah.
Can I just add something to what Brian said? I think I exactly agree with the Rice situation in terms of he's a 100 million plus player, and I think he has got leadership qualities as well. Some argue that he should be captain. I've heard the arguments and the room and the kind of mumblings about that. Maybe if Odegaard was to ever step down, I still think we've got the right player in Odegaard because he does lead with by example with what he does on the pitch. And I totally agree that you may be right. And I felt that, Brian, from what you said, he did step up, Rice. He did take the ball by the what you call it, ball by the horns, and I think this is one thing that we are missing. We could go on all day about creativity and the lack of, and we should be creating. But one thing I've noticed in all our games for quite a while, and it's not just recently, we're so fixated on creating something from the wings, either the right or the left, mainly the right when Saka and Odegaard are playing. And I don't ever see any of the players, as Brian perfectly described there, going right at the heart. Where do we see our players just driving through the middle? Which game was it where we actually saw Timber do it and almost paid off, but he shot straight at the keeper? And I think it was Odegaard himself tried it a couple of times. when you're running with the ball and running at defenders, sometimes the defenders can panic a little bit. And I just don't see. We just keep to either trying it from the sides, and I think that's where then things slow down, because we then take the 1-2 touches too many. We're trying to analyze a little bit too much. We're trying to do that extra pass. We're trying to score the perfect goal. When I see all the opposition that we have faced recently, and when they're counter-attacking or when they're in the attack, it's so decisive and it's so fast. Bang, 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 and then we're in trouble. But yet we seem to take an age to get anywhere near to that position. And I think it's similar to what Malcolm's describing in the chat. There's that. But I will say one other thing, Brian. You said that it can't be just down to Odegaard, and you're right. Just one small caveat to that: when Odegaard himself was injured, I felt Saka, who also relies on Odegaard, it's a partnership. I thought Saka really stepped up a little bit, and he had to also take the captain's armband too. And I think Saka did really well with it. He really took that responsibility well.
Yeah.
So, Odegaard is an accomplished player. They're all professionals, and I agree that he can't just be all him, and Rice and players like that have to step up. But, Saka was able to do that when he didn't have Odegaard. So, but I mean, I might be sounding a bit harsh. They're two different individuals completely and entirely. But yeah, on the whole, I think Brian, what you said was spot on, to be fair.
Yeah. Just looking at those fixtures, it's not been a great January, has it? Hardly any, no clean sheets. The situation we had last year, last 2 seasons, where we just can't seem to keep clean sheets at home. Even games that we've won comfortably, we always just chuck in a silly goal. Whereas away from home, obviously we've had that record, didn't we, last season? But yeah, it is a worry. But obviously we do seem to be over the worst of it, and obviously we've got running games now, which we should be able to deal with. Just wanted to mention,
Mike,
Mike, go on, Brian.
Mike, sorry, mate. Just a small crumb, basically, of kind of encouragement through that is that we're not. Yeah, we should be winning games, and we've got a deficit to pick up the points against Liverpool, but not losing matches at the moment. The 2 matches in the cups, at the end of the day, you can lose a cup tie. There's no question about that, and you lose one on penalties, for crying out loud. So if there's a crumb out of it, we're not losing games, and we're not playing well. So that's the crumb that I kind of take from it at the moment.
And we're not out the League Cup yet, Brian. We could turn it around.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, very true. It's going to be tough going up there, but we saw Bournemouth yesterday go up there and score 4 goals, and they've got loads of players out, and we're playing people in different positions and stuff. So yeah, it could be interesting still. Any issues with the Havertz? We've got to mention that the Havertz, the situation. Do you think that was handball? Did you think, it was, Pogba doing what they're doing to sort of put the spanner in the works and stuff like that? Or, for me, I thought it was handball. Look, we've seen all the replays. It just looks like it was handball. And you're more annoyed. You're annoyed at that, but you're also annoyed that we threw away 2-goal lead. That's what I'm more annoyed at. At home against a team that were sort of there for the taking. For me, it seemed like Tielemans realised, this Marino, he can't really run. And in the second half, he just started to make doggies past him, because he scored that goal, didn't he? I thought it looked like it was an own goal for Marino. It looked like, but and then he had a chance after that, shortly after that, where again Marino was sort of caught short. The duel monster, just losing his duels. But yeah, I people make a big furore about that, but I think it was handball. And I think if we're going to be annoyed at anything in terms of Havertz maybe getting in the way of that, is the fact that we threw away, a 2-goal lead after what we saw Liverpool do, just hours earlier. Really, really frustrating. Just got a couple more from Mark. He said, I do agree Rice should be captain after each goal against us. Odegaard was head down and away from the players. Rice and Gabriel are the only ones trying to get them refocused. I think I saw on Arsburg as well, he was there, and he was saying that Rice really went to town on party after the first goal. sorry, the second goal was it just basically went mad at him. It just basically said, what the F are you doing? And obviously Arteta's kind of said the same. The way we defended the second goal, you can't defend like that. And very true. But also I think, well, don't play him there. Just play your right back, play your centre back, let him play a game. If your left-sided centre back can't play on the right side for a game, I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Is it really the details that fine that you need to do that, for that game? I mean, it's just overkill for me. I think he overthinks it again, and it punches us. He just puts a puncher in our wheels. He just keeps doing it. He does it time and time again, and we get away with it every now and again. But I just think he overthinks it. He changed 2 key positions, for one player, just for one player being out. And obviously, Mac has said that as well. We mustn't underestimate the importance of Saliba as well as Saka. These sort of games without him, he probably would have got on the end of one of those crosses, maybe from Digna and Cash, the 2 fullbacks. But yeah. So guys, obviously, in celebration of Brian's sensational turn on Deal or No Deal, we have our first Arsenal Above All Deal or No Deal, starring Brian Haley and Neil Shah. I'm not going to do the theme tune because it will get copyrighted and we'll get 3 strikes and this channel will no longer exist. But Deal or No Deal, welcome everyone. I'm not as snazzy as Mulhern, but I'll try and do my best. So you know how it goes. There's no money, Brian. You've won enough money, unfortunately. So this is just behind these boxes are going to be questions. You don't know what questions are. Obviously, this is just off the fly. So Neil having a panic attack already. He's thinking, what have I done? What he stitched me up? Don't worry, Neil, they're not that bad.
You don't know my knowledge, Michael. They're bad. They'll be bad for me, mate.
So Brian, when you're ready, just choose a box, mate, and we'll fire out a question to you.
Oh well, I've got to choose 7, haven't I?
Number 7. Okay, this is an interesting one. Number 7. Is there more to Edu's sudden resignation? And if so, will we ever learn the reason why?
It's a 50-50 one on that part on both aspects of it, I think. The sudden resignation. Is there more to it? There probably is. Would it have made an awful lot of difference in the January window? I don't necessarily know. If would we get a transfer over the line? What type of transfer would it have been if we had to, as well? Is there more to his resignation? There probably is internally, yes. Would it have made an awful lot of difference if he was still there now with regarding to what we kind of needed? I'm not too sure. Will we ever learn the reason? I don't think we'll probably hear that in our lifetime anyway. It will come in some sort of book of someone somewhere along down the line, but probably not in our life. We know what the club is like historically. It's it'll come out in someone's book, so it'll be in probably Edu's memoirs at some stage, but he'll probably do that when he's 95 and he's and it's his dying days kind of thing. Then we kind of find out.
Good answer. Just let's say there's a $5 in that box, so you got that $5. Neil, your turn. I know you've been wanting to play Deal or No Deal. You have to do this one.
Oh, this is amazing experience! Wow, I'm so great. I had to be with the legend Brian. This is brilliant. So 9's my. I'll do it the way. Well, 9's my birthday, so I'll save that one. I'll go for, of course, DB10, number 10.
Number 10. So let's see what number 10.
Gosh.
Oh, you've chosen this one.
Oh no.
Is Mikel Arteta still right now for the job? Do you think he has taken us as far as he can?
You can't swear on this show, innit? Damn. Okay. No. I'll be brave. Look, end of the day.
Neil,
go on, sorry.
You've just taken out the 100K.
Right, note to thyself: don't ever go on that show. I'll be a curse to it.
Oh,
Right.
dear.
Okay. That's very good, actually, Michael. You're the right man. Wow. Right. I'm gonna just try and do this very quickly. I'll go to the beginning. I think what he's done in terms of turning the club around, I think that's pretty impressive considering, number one, he was a very young man when he joined. I think he was the youngest manager at the time, I think, in the Prem. It's his first ever job as a manager. So to take on a club as big as Arsenal as your first ever job at that age, I think that's quite a brave thing to do in any situation, really. Even if we were coming off a good run or a bad run or whatever it is, I think that's a very, very quite brave and a courageous thing to do. So he did that. Not only did he do that, we were in turmoil in respect of not just our football, but also the fan base was awful. The stadium was awful when you went to games. I remember seeing fightings, Arsenal fans physically fighting with each other. Never seen the like of it in all the years that I've been going. And he gave us unity. I think he unified the fan base. He allowed, the Ashburton army to come in and try and improve the atmosphere, which I think they did. I think he gave the go-ahead for I know some people don't like it, but our anthem now at the start and end of games. I think in that respect, and then of course he didn't have a great start. He had a good start in the sense of winning the FA Cup, but then he, a couple of 8th positions, 5th, and then second, and each time, we've done a little bit better than the previous season in that respect, especially the last 3. So in that respect, performance and progress is measured in different ways, but I think in that way he's done very well. However, there are certain decisions he makes, some that you've alluded to today, Michael and Brian, and you just kind of think, does he have anything further to offer? Now, this is where I start thinking about the Brendan Rodgers effect. Brendan Rodgers took Liverpool as far as he could, but couldn't quite get them over the line. And then obviously Klopp came in and did that for them. Is this the same thing with Arteta? I think if you ask me what will happen in the season, he ain't going nowhere. This board is going to keep him. He's not going anywhere. So he's going to stay. Can he take us over the line? I'd like to see how this season finishes and then make a judgment from there.
Cool. Good answer. Brian, your turn.
Let's go 14 then.
14, Thierry Henry. Okay, another corner. Do you think Arteta has become more risk averse as the expectations have been raised, I should say?
Look, I think the realization is that we know that the Premier League is unforgiving. Everybody is effectively, and particularly this season, everybody is beating everyone, and no one was expecting Forest to be, on the same points as us in the Champions League places, nor Bournemouth in the top 6 or 7, and it's in some respects. He probably has to a certain degree, and I don't know if that's just giving opposition a little bit too much respect in that sense, and then kind of not allowing us to kind of play the way that we have played, because there's still that levels of kind of that fear of we could get beat because of how the Premier League is and how competitive it's become. So probably in some aspects, but you know what? I think that also then comes down to him signings as well and what we bring into the club. It's ironic, isn't it, that we've got an 18-year-old who's basically now gone out there and been fearless and taking games to people.
Yeah.
It's do you know what I mean? It's kind of it's like on one hand it's like saying, well, we have to be respectful of the opposition, and on one hand it's like we've got players out there who are just saying we trust in our own ability to go and win football matches. So it's kind of like I think he's been kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, and you know what? Some of that is shown on some of the players. And some of it hasn't. Some of them have just thought, sod this. And I think as I said, we keep going on about the Declan Rice situation in the game, but it's like he's looked at it and thought, sod that for a laugh. We've got to go and win this football match today, and we're going to have to do something about it. We cannot be playing like this because we're not getting anywhere with it. So, and we have to do that on the pitch. The manager can't do that on the sideline. Yeah, he might rollick you when you get off by not playing a particular way, but we've got to force a football match in here, and we've got to do something and change something differently on the park. And you brought players like that into the club to do those sorts of things, not to play a particular way. Otherwise, you would play a bunch of 18-year-olds who you just tell them just to play this particular way, and that's it.
Yeah,
he's stuck. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, I think, and it's just also particularly because this particular season it's become more competitive. More of the fact because obviously City as well have not performed to the levels that they should be in as well.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you think, would we have seen Miles if Calafiori had managed to stay fit for more than one game, and if Tomiyasu weren't in witness protection, we probably wouldn't see him, would we? That's the scary thing. It's kind of been forced upon him because of the squad building and the squad management, whatever you want to put. Sorry, though. I've got to put in there. Where is he? Where is the guy? He's gone.
As I said, Mike, he's auditioning for Series 3 of Squid Games.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of scary. This kid's taking his opportunity because the unavailability of two senior pros, and he wouldn't be anywhere near what he's doing now, and that's a scary thought because we know at the end of the day, Arteta doesn't really trust the academy, does he? And he was forced to put Ethan in because of the numbers, and the same thing with Miles, and it goes from there. So, Neil, your turn, your number. Which one do you want to choose? Don't have to choose all of them, boys. Just his couple, but then.
Okay, I will. I'll go with my birthday now. Number 9.
Number 9. Okay. Well, you've just taken out the 75k, Neil. I don't know what's going on. Are there big enough characters in the playing squad and staff to challenge on, or are they all just happy to be here, basically?
Oh man! Seriously, what is this? I'm cursed, man. Why do I get these ones? Okay. Wow. Oh, by the way, I forgot to add on my last one that I believe if Arteta doesn't win any silverware, I know you guys might think this is harsh, but if he doesn't win any silverware at the end of this season, I think question marks got to be asked, because I'm not. It's not about trophy hunting, guys. Let me make that clear. It's about keeping key players, and if we're not winning things, some of the players that are more than capable of winning things with other clubs might start asking questions. That's my fear. And we can't start losing a squad that we're just trying to build, because we've been doing that rebuilding for about 2 decades now. And the last 2 seasons we've come close. We can't start, risking or fearing that might start falling apart again, even before we won anything. So that was just my little addition to that. And with this, I suppose it follows on a little bit. To be quite honest, I think the strong characters that might have already been at the club have gone. Arteta, I think, cut them loose. Aubameyang, Ozil, a few others. Even who was that one with the big hair that I used to like? Guendouzi. I think Guendouzi was a bit of a character and someone who wasn't happy to play just by the rules, and he kind of went off and did his own thing when things got tough. I don't know if Arteta actually got rid of him. I can't recall, but I think he's a kind of, he comes across. I'm not in the dressing room. I'm not in the training grounds. I can't tell you for sure, but just from a fan observing, I feel that he is not a kind of manager or a leader that can deal with, how can you say, people that don't quite agree with him. I think we're a club we've got outstanding players, don't get me wrong, and we've got nice people in the club. We've got very nice people, but they come across all very similar to me in terms of their characters, which isn't a bad thing, because if the world was full of people like that, the world would be a better place. But when it comes to football and rivalries and, playing at the very, very top level, I mean, you're trying to win stuff, you need someone who's a little bit outrageous, a little bit cutthroat, a little bit nasty, maybe a little bit of ego to really get us over the line in certain situations. Like, for example, a game changer. I'm not quite sure if Alexis would have been if he was still here, whether Arteta would have liked someone like Alexis, who I believe was our real true last game changer that this club had.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, the answer to that is no. There isn't anyone really to challenge. I think they're all listening to him and saying yes and agreeing with his vision. I think that can be that cannot always be a conducive thing when you need new options, or you need new ideas, maybe to think outside the box. A player can even add that in a training session or something like that. I don't think we've got that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, good shout, Neil. Just a couple of chats from Matt Kirby. It was definitely handballs going back to the Havertz. But as you said, to throw away a solid lead was indefensible. Partey can't play in the back line again. Kivior, if you have no choice, has to play. James is in the chat and says, Christ, the way Neil's picking these boxes, Samaritans are going to ring before the bank does.
I think that's a stitch up. Michael has stitched me up, I swear. Because we don't know the real. We could just be picking the quantum.
I'll tell you, he's not going anywhere. As long as he finishes top 4, Giannis would be happy. The days when people are baying for Arteta to go, they didn't listen. That position is not going to change yet. I think as long as he gets in the top 4 and gets the Champions League money and has an element of some competition or competing, they'll be happy. His contract's up in 2027. Same as Saliba and Saka. So I think, as you were saying, Neil, earlier, I think next season for me is massive, because if we're getting to this point next season and where it looks like we're having the fall off as we are, 2026, then the club are going to have to make a decision to accept a bid from Madrid to Saliba, because he's going to end up there. We've just got to enjoy him while we can. That's the end. That's the bottom line. But I totally agree. It's a big. I think next season is the one where he's going to be judged on, because I think it's going to get pretty dicey in the stadiums again, if not. Brian, to you, have a shooter box for us.
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, number 8. Let me just want to. Who would win in a race between Per Mertesacker and Mikel Merino? I've got nothing against Merino, obviously, as you can tell this episode, but that one.
Oh God,
James and Mac and anyone in the chat, if they want to put their money on who they think they will win, they can obviously do as well.
Is that on grass or in quicksand?
That's on grass. That's at London Colney, mate. That's Per coming down and saying, "Look, mate, let's have it."
Yeah, because oh my God, yeah. Let's just say, right. I'd probably prefer to have Per at this moment in time for a bit of leadership. But I'm not too. But yeah, I feel for him. I really do feel for him. It's like an Olympic walker, not a marathon runner, but Olympic walker. It's like playing walking football.
Yeah,
he's only 20 something.
Him and Sterling, yeah,
already.
Him and Sterling, yeah. Bloody hell,
yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
Unreal.
Interesting, but yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. But even if we had Per in the team at this moment in time, but at least as a character. That may be a yard. We may get a yard out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've taken out the 1p box there, Brian. Well done, mate. Well done. Go to Neil. Who's
50,000 one right next.
His game is seems to be jinxed at the moment. But go on, Neil. What's your box?
Oh boy! I will go with 6.
Number 6, Tony Adams.
Of course.
Let's see what Neil's done.
No,
has he blown up his game again? Kind of answered it already.
Okay.
But unfortunately, you have taken away the 25k.
Oh, fair.
And it's has the team shown enough mental resilience in big games or under pressure so far this season?
Okay, one example of where I think we did show resilience was when I thought we were having those awful officiating decisions. And I'll pick the one against Man City, actually. And we lost Trossard, I think. What he did was a bit silly, of course, because you don't want to give the officials the excuse. But, of course, it only happens to Arsenal, so that's where my anger lies. And we know, we don't want to go on about decisions again. We know all about it. But to be fair, we were playing well against them up to that point. I think we were dominating. But of course, going out the 10 men against them, we had to shut up shop. And I thought we'd done so well, to be fair, to lose it in literally the last kick of the game, to go all that time with 10 men against City, who are really just peppering our box and our goal. I thought we did tremendously well to hold out. And, at the end of the day, we still came away with the point. I know it should have been more, but I think in that respect, that was one example of showing some mental resilience. I think even when we went away to Villa, which is always difficult, we got a result there. We did well, I think, away to Tottenham. So there have been some games, more away fixtures earlier in the season, which I thought we'd done all right in. And then you could call them big games. We were quite pleased that we'd got some of the harder away games out the way early in the season, which could be good going forward towards the middle and the end of the season. But unfortunately, since then, we've just capitulated. But I will be a little bit fairer this time to the boys and to our manager. I think the key injuries have not helped. They really have depleted the team. We've been left literally with nothing. You saw on the bench the other day for Villa, there's literally nothing left. So there's different ways of looking at it. But I think we have shown some mental resilience in some of the big games. Yes, I agree with that.
Cool.
Just on the back end of that, actually, I think that even the Liverpool game we drew 2-2 at home, we were under strength against the virtual full strength Liverpool side. They had only one at 2, Leicester out, and we were under strength. And we could have lost. We could have won that game, absolutely, but we come away with something under strength. So I think we've got the mental resilience. I think what it is now is more to do with concentration. And actually the general game management we have to look at now, because it's simple mistakes which are causing the problems, not the fact that we've got a frailty.
Yeah,
I think we can stand up to sides a lot more now, but it's now just general kind of concentration and game management through games, rather than it's just our general mental resilience. And people will turn around and say well, it is a bit of mental resilience as well, because you have to concentrate and stuff like that. I understand that, but sometimes people will look at us, and pundits still go on now of how our so-called frailties, but we've been in games, and we've just mentioned it, that we've shown that we've got the resilience to get through games. I think it's just making sure now that the fact that we can see games out more on general concentration, rather than the fact is that we just capitulate in front of our eyes, basically.
Yeah, I agree. To agree with you both. I mean, we've shown signs of it in certain periods of games, haven't we? And then we've just, like you said, we've just had that lack of concentration, and or it's been an issue with some crazy decision by one of our players or the referee or whatever, or the opposition scoring an incredible goal. With like their first shot on target or something like that. But yeah, over to you, Bri, for your last pick, and then we'll get Neil to have his last one and see if he ends up with the 10p. But
last one. I'll go 4 actually.
Oh, 4, Patrick Vieira. Let's have it. We've maybe covered this before, but why have some key players underperformed this season?
I think it kind of stems to, I think, and I don't want to put so much on the coach in that sense, but if asking players to play a particular way and play in particular systems, and probably being a bit more pragmatic in some aspects and so on, it then would you necessarily class it as people that have generally underperformed if there's a particular way or pattern of play that they've been asked to play? The last couple of seasons we've been generally kind of excited, and exciting. This season, not so. But then, do we class that on the basis of the players underperforming or not, or they've just been asked to play a different way? I don't know. Look, we've spoken about Odegaard and he's coming, injury, so on and so forth. But yeah, look, it's a difficult one because, as I also said, is that it's not like we're losing a lot of football matches either. We're just not getting either a rubber or green, or we're not concentrating in certain games, or there's certain little things that are not
we've drawn too many
quite
games in the
there.
league.
Yeah.
We've drawn too many games in the league.
There. So it could be one or two things in that, but I wouldn't completely say it's the people who are underperforming. I think the pragmatic side of the way that we is probably making us look like we're underperforming.
Yeah.
I think Brian, to be fair, Rice by his own admission says he didn't play well start of the season, and he's starting to find his feet now. I think it was I think it was after the Tottenham game he was interviewed, and he said that look, I know I've not been at my best, but hopefully now I'm starting to, and I think that's true, and I think that was quite big of him to admit that. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one. It's a very difficult question, is it? We're not privy to all the stuff that goes on, are we? We don't know what happens, so we can only observe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to throw my 2 pence in, I think it's a combination of things, but I think it is maybe the change of style of play. But again, I think it just goes back to Arteta's squad management and just overworking players. There was a stat that's gone around where the 4 most players I think that played last season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
have all had have all had injuries now that have taken them out of the team. And you look at even going back to the summer, like when we were on tour, Saliba wasn't there because obviously he played for France. And he comes back, he has like a 2-week holiday, and he's thrown straight in at the start of the season. The same with Saka and Rice, and they've just been playing non-stop. Whereas you look at City and what they did, and how long it was before Rodri played, and how long it was before Foden played, and how long do you know what I mean? It was just a different way of the way they loaded that. He loaded that up, and I think, all right, they've got a squad, they've got probably more, more in strength and depth, but it's just the way that Arteta, a couple of years ago, he said, top players have to play every 3 days. They can't complain; they have to play every 3 days, and it was almost like he was kind of bullying them into mentally saying, well, you can't come back. Don't come to me and moan about tiredness, mate. You got to play every 3 days. Messi does it. Ronaldo does it. Those guys are freaks, You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of done that, and it's blown up. It's blown up in his face. We can't, the evidence is there that these guys have fallen off because of combination of lack of form. And I think it is because they literally are being flogged, basically. And it's going to continue. We've got obviously a game on Wednesday. We've got a game on the weekend. Then we've got a game on Wednesday again, and then we play Man City, who have turned the corner around as well. Do you know what I mean? And then we've got Newcastle after that as well in the second leg. So it's non-stop. But I think again, it goes back to Arteta and just the way he loads the team up and the squad management. Neil, I'll leave the last choice to you, my friend. What are you going to go with?
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Oh,
go on, 10p, please.
I think it is a money question, and I think it is 10p from the answer from it. Do you trust Arteta with more money? Sorry, Neil, you're going home with 10p. That's it.
What the hell, man?
Oh, dear.
God, Brian, help me out. What the hell is this? Right. Do I trust? I don't. See, the thing is now this Edu thing, I've really suspected why and how it happened. It was too suspicious for me, because normally when a sporting director decides to leave, he normally goes towards the end of the season. Normally he stays until the end of the season. Well, I think he does anyway, but I've got my facts all wrong. But the fact that he literally announced it and then he's out the next day, that just to me just stunk of something not right. Now, whether
Mm.
he was the one making the better decisions, or whether it was Arteta, or whether it was a combination of them both, I don't know. I will never know. Who knows? Unless, as you said, Brian, he writes his memoirs at the age of 95 or something. We're not going to know exactly what's what. So it's a really difficult question to answer whether we trust Arteta with more money, because we don't know whether he was making more of the better decisions, or, as I said, Edu, or a combination of the two. I don't know. So it's so difficult to answer this.
Yeah.
Would I want to give Arteta more money? Well, I think, well, mate, you've had all this money, and then where you were supposed to strengthen in certain positions, which are so obvious to pretty much everyone else in the world,
Yeah.
you still go and buy some more left backs, which makes no sense when one of the ones that you buy, I know a lot of people do like him, but he's got a history of injuries in Calafiori, absolutely injury ridden. It's showing again now with us.
Yeah.
As you said quite rightly, Michael, maybe it's a blessing because it's given Miles Lewis-Skelly the chance that he's got, and probably now has become number one in that position. But that's still a lot of money to throw away. Marino, I'm still questioning. So do I trust? do I trust Arteta with more? Do I trust Arteta? Well, he doesn't want to buy a forward. He doesn't want to buy a striker. Shut up, James. He doesn't want to buy a striker or a forward. So I'll be honest, no.
Yeah.
And what was the other part of the question? I didn't see it. James, go away. Has Chelsea give? Well, I think we will all used to be upset with the board and you know, my feelings towards the Cronkies. But to be fair, I think he's had a fair amount. I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure what his thinking is anymore, because we know what we need in what positions. Sorry, James, what you said is quite funny, by the way. I was only joking.
Yeah, I agree with what James is coming at as well with this. You know, I don't think he deserves to rebuild a side that's already he hasn't won anything with. Because I think, they're probably looking at it that you spent all this money, you spent this money on Calafiori, and the 18-year-old kid has cost us nothing. Is you know, what's going to happen when Calafiori's fit? Do you put him in at the expense of, to save face? Is that the reason why he needs to put Marino in? Is that the reason he's persisted with Havertz, even though he's scoring goals, but there was feelings that he was forcing him into the team and the style on the play because the outlay was so big. He's getting 280 a week or whatever it is, and cost how much he is. And the faith that Arteta's put into him. If you're suddenly not playing this guy and he's on the bench, then it looks bad on your judgment on your talent ID, which seems to have gone through the wind, through the floor a little bit.
Well, Miles has done him a massive favour, really, in some respects, because it means already you're offloading Zinchenko and Tini was going anyway, but you're offloading both of those, and Calafiori. They basically effectively are battling for position at left back next season. So there's your competition, and you've already got rid of two.
Yeah.
So he's got himself a little bit of a squeeze in some respects that is actually pulled off, because you've kind of got two left backs that you don't basically rate in that sense, and one that's injury prone.
Yeah.
It's like, so he's kind of like, he's done himself a little bit of a favour in that aspect.
Before we go, guys, just one of the questions that was on there, but we didn't pick, which I'll just throw up anyway. Do you think we'll do anything in the next couple of days before the window closes? I think it closes on February 3rd, I think. Not the end of January, but February the 3rd, I believe.
Not holding my breath. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There'll be the usual thing. There will be an awful lot of chat, and also, the chat will be trying to strike a deal which could never be done.
Yeah,
it's probably what it is. The Sesko one. See, don't want to let him go. We're trying to get him on loan for the rest of the season. Well, what that don't make any sense anyway. That won't benefit Leipzig in any shape or form there. And as I think I've said to a few people before, who is going to release, a central striker in this window without having to pay stupid amounts of money to get them out of their club or they need and want to leave.
Yeah.
You know, and so what it leaves you with is that trying to rejig your loans, but to have someone who's going to not actually benefit us in any way moving forward anyway. You know, what you want is something now that's going to contribute, 12 to 15 goals by the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think if we do anything, it probably won't be what we want or what we need, maybe. I think that's what Brian. Yeah, I think that's right. Absolutely right. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. Hopefully, we'll be surprised. Hopefully, we'll get an amazing signing, and that will help us win the Champions League, which we're still going to do, guys. Come on, positivity.
I think it's crossed. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Let's hope. Let's hope and pray Saliba isn't out for too long as well. That's massive for us as well. If he's done his hamstring as well, then Jesus.
But the reports are that he should be back for the City. Should be back for the City game. Oh dear. Yeah, that's the plan. But he's got it's 3 games, and I think, to be fair, the next 3 games probably. Yes, it'd be great to have William Saliba in the team, but if they're going to pick kind of 3 games, probably not to have him. It might be it.
Yeah. Yes, obviously we can kind of look at Wednesday. I think that's a given, and then win that. That's kind of secures our place in the latter stages of the Champions League if all the other results go our way. Wolves obviously will be a bit tasty, obviously with Cunha as well. With our links, apparently he's still not signed his contract that he's agreed. So I don't know whether there's any chat going on there in terms of getting him. We'll talk about that probably in another show. I know James I wanted to do his transfer chat with James about that. So seeing as probably going into the last week, might do something. James just saying there, Saliba fortnight, apparently going to be fit for City at home. Yeah, so it is what it is. We hope he's back in a fortnight. But we were kind of thinking maybe Saka. People were saying Saka's going to be back in a couple of weeks before the hammer came down and shattered everything. They said, I don't know, he's not. He's going to be out for 3 or 4 months. So, but yeah. So no, appreciate that, guys. Really appreciate your time as always. Thanks for everyone who was watching, who was in the chat. Some fantastic comments and sharing your opinions. This is what it's all about. Neil goes home with the 10p. Brian goes home with 75k. And well done on that.
He's already won in the real thing. Give me something.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Really enjoyed it. The first one of the new year. We'll see how it goes with the next one. Probably after the Wolves game, and it's probably taking the Champions League game midweek and that, and hopefully, we can get a run going. Maybe have a player or two to talk about. If we do land something or something big. Thanks, James. If we do land something big, then obviously we might do an impromptu show and see how we feel about all of that, and we'll go from there. So, Neil, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a great week ahead.
Nice to see Adrian on the chat as well. Hello, Adrian. He's a
Adrian. Yeah. Well
nice
done.
Guy.
Thanks for watching. And Brian, thanks for your time as well, man. I know you're a busy man.
Glad to be back.
Got your agent getting you some good spots.
Some more work. Yeah.
Going to be on Good Morning Britain soon.
Yeah.
Got his
sports I'm working her that hard. Basically, she's snoring at the moment. Man. So yeah.
Go for it, man. Get that money, bro. But no, appreciate all your time, and hope you have a great week. Thanks for everyone watching, and we'll be back hopefully at the weekend with a review of the Wolves game. So all I have to say is, come on, you Gunners.
Newcastle, the central figure again, and he looks to trick Michael.
she's about to become the first lady once again.